Welcome back, deep divers. Today, we're going to be tackling, I guess you could say tackling an anime series that I think a lot of you are probably familiar with, Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh, yeah, this one's a classic.
Yeah, and we're going to be looking at it through the lens of satire.
Interesting.
Yeah, and our main source material for this is actually a video essay that was originally in Chinese
Okay.
that really dives deep into some of the more outlandish and absurd aspects of the show.
I'm intrigued already.
Yeah. So are you ready to kind of see giant robots and existential angst in a whole new light?
Absolutely, I'm all for that.
All right. So let's just start with the basics for those, maybe one or two people out there who haven't seen Evangelion. It's set in this post-apocalyptic world where giant biomachines called Evangelions
Right.
are piloted by teenagers
Teenagers.
to fight these mysterious beings called angels.
Mm-hmm.
And, on the surface, it sounds like your typical, mecha anime, but it gets really weird.
Yeah, and that's what this analysis really brings out. It's not just about those surface level things. The show uses all of that, the robots and the angels, to kind of poke fun at all sorts of stuff, like religion and mythology,
All right.
and even human nature itself.
And even human nature itself, yeah.
It's kind of amazing.
Okay, so, where do we even begin with this?
Well, I think the first thing is to look at the science of the show, if you can even call it that.
Yeah, the science.
It's like they took every crazy sci-fi idea and just threw it in there.
Yeah.
Seeds of life, the first ancestral race,
Right.
a white moon and a black moon carrying Adam and Lilith. It's wild.
It's completely bonkers, and the best part is they try to explain it all.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, the moon is a spaceship with a giant alien inside. I mean, come on.
Right. It's like they're deliberately pushing it to the point of absurdity.
Exactly. And that's where I think the satire comes in. They're taking these familiar sci-fi tropes and just twisting them into something almost comical.
Totally. Like they're winking at the audience saying, we know this is ridiculous, but just go with it.
Exactly. And it's not just the science, it's all the religious symbolism, too.
Oh, yeah, there's tons of that.
You've got angels, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Spear of Longinus, Kabbalah. It's like they raided a theological library.
And it's all mixed up in this strange, almost blasphemous way.
Yeah, you don't expect to see the Spear of Longinus being used to stab a giant space monster.
Definitely not your typical Sunday school lesson.
So what do you think they're trying to say with all of this?
Well, I think it's about questioning those traditional narratives, those figures of authority that we're supposed to blindly trust.
Oh, so they're turning these sacred symbols on their head.
Exactly. The angels, for example, they're not exactly the benevolent beings we usually imagine.
Yeah, they're more like Lovecraftian horrors.
Right. It's like they're saying, what if everything you thought you knew about good and evil was wrong?
That's a pretty heavy message to be packing into a show about giant robots.
Yeah, but that's what makes Evangelion so fascinating. It's got all this depth and complexity beneath the surface.
And it's not just the big concepts, it's the characters, too.
Oh, yeah, they're a mess.
Seriously messed up. They're all so isolated and full of self-doubt. I mean, I get it's a post-apocalyptic world, but still.
Well, the source material actually argues that those character flaws are a key part of the satire.
Okay, how so?
It's like they're exaggerated versions of human flaws, their isolation, their inability to connect. It's all kind of reflecting back on us.
So it's like they're saying, hey, look in the mirror, humanity. You're not as great as you think you are.
Yeah, kind of a harsh but maybe necessary wake-up call.
So we've got this bizarre science, twisted religious imagery, and a whole bunch of deeply flawed characters.
Right.
And this all culminates in the Human Instrumentality Project.
Right.
Which is basically a plan to force everyone into a state of unity.
Yeah, by dissolving individual egos.
Okay, now that sounds like the ultimate satire.
It is, right? It's poking fun at this idea of perfect utopia.
Like, erasing all our differences will somehow solve all our problems.
Exactly. But the show seems to be suggesting that true connection can only come from individual choice.
So even with all our flaws and messiness, it's better to be individuals than to be forced into some kind of homogenous blob.
That's what the show seems to be arguing, yeah.
Wow, this is getting pretty deep.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack, but I think we've just scratched the surface.
Well, I am definitely ready to dive deeper into all of this.
Me too. Let's get into some specific examples of how this satire plays out in the show.
That sounds like a plan.
All right, let's do it. All right, so, we were talking about all these grand ideas and themes in Evangelion, but let's get down to some
Hey,
specifics.
let's talk about those.
Like, let's look at how the satire actually plays out in the show
All
itself.
right, give me some examples.
Well, remember that shadowy organization, Sealy, always lurking in the background?
Oh, yeah. See, those guys with their creepy pronouncements and obsession with the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah, totally. They always gave me that secret society vibe.
Right, like some kind of Illuminati pulling the strings.
And you know what? That's exactly what the source material points out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sealy is like the embodiment of all those conspiracy theories we love to talk about.
So they're like the Freemasons, the Illuminati, all rolled into one.
Exactly. Obsessed with ancient prophecies and controlling humanity's fate.
And it's hilarious how they try to sell the Human Instrumentality Project as this amazing utopia.
Yeah, right. Like, trust us. We know it's best for you, even if it sounds totally crazy.
And the show is definitely satirizing that kind of blind faith in authority.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a giant question everything sign.
And it's not just Sealy, right? It feels like the show is poking fun at institutions in general.
Yeah, for sure. Like, think about NRV, the organization that runs the whole Evangelion program.
Oh, yeah, NRV. They're supposed to be humanity's last hope.
Right, but they're also super secretive and bureaucratic and kind of ruthless.
Yeah, classic satire of the military-industrial complex.
Totally. They're more concerned with their own agendas than actually helping people.
And it's funny because the show manages to be both entertaining and thought-provoking at the same time.
Yeah, it's a great balance.
Like you're laughing at the absurdity of it all, but then you realize there's this whole deeper layer of social commentary.
That's the power of good satire, right? It
Yeah.
sneaks up on you.
Okay, so we've got Sealy, NRV, the whole distrust of authority thing going on. But what about the angels themselves? I mean, those designs are just wild.
Yeah, they're straight out of a fever dream.
Like some kind of bizarre, abstract art.
And I think that's part of the satire, too.
Really? How so?
Well, the source suggests that those strange, grotesque designs are meant to represent the unknown.
The unknown.
Yeah, the things that we can't control or categorize or even fully understand.
So like a metaphor for the chaos and unpredictability of life.
Exactly. And the fact that humanity's only response is violence, well, that's pretty telling.
Yeah, it's like we're hardwired to fight anything that we don't understand.
And the show is definitely making a comment on that.
Okay, but it's not just about mindless violence, right? The show also explores how fighting the angels affects the pilots psychologically.
Right, especially Shinji.
Poor Shinji, he goes through so much.
Yeah, and the source actually dives into how Shinji's struggles with depression and anxiety might reflect the creator's own experiences.
Wait, are you saying this whole epic anime is actually just a metaphor for one guy's mental health journey?
Well, it's definitely influenced by it.
Wow, that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, the themes of isolation, the pressure to perform, the fear of failure, all of that stuff that Shinji deals with, it's stuff that the creator has talked about struggling with himself.
That actually makes me see the show in a whole new light. It's like we're getting a glimpse into the creator's mind.
Yeah, it's a pretty personal story disguised as a giant robot anime.
And that adds another layer of satire too, right? Because we
Exactly.
have these epic battles and philosophical questions, but it all comes back to these very human struggles.
Right, it's like saying, hey, even amidst all this cosmic chaos, don't forget about the battles we're fighting within ourselves.
So we've got satire on science, religion, authority, and now even the creative process itself.
Evangelion really does cover all the bases.
That's that satire of everything.
Yeah.
But there's one thing I'm still curious about. The source mentioned some controversial fan theories.
Oh, yeah, those are pretty interesting.
Can you give me an example?
Well, there's one that suggests the Human Instrumentality Project is actually a commentary on the internet and social media.
Whoa, okay, that's a new one. How does that work?
Well, think about it. The merging of souls could represent our increasing interconnectedness online.
Like how we're constantly sharing our lives on social media.
Exactly. And the loss of individuality could be seen as the pressure to conform, to fit in, to get those likes and followers.
So it's like we're all becoming part of this giant digital hive mind.
It's a pretty unsettling thought, right?
Yeah, kind of terrifying, actually.
Right. And that's what makes it such a powerful satire. It's tapping into those anxieties we have about technology and the loss of privacy.
It's making me rethink my entire relationship with the internet.
That's the power of good satire. It makes you question everything.
Okay, internet hive mind theory, check. What other controversial fan theories are out there?
Well, there's one that's especially fascinating. It suggests that the entire series is actually a metaphor for psychotherapy. All right, psychotherapy, you say. How does that even work with giant robots and
Yeah,
angels?
I'm having trouble wrapping my head around that one.
Well, think of it this way. Shinji's battles with the angels could represent his attempts to confront his inner demons.
Okay, I can see that. His trauma, his anxieties.
Yeah, and the Evangelion itself could be a symbol for the therapeutic process, the tool he uses to navigate his emotions.
Interesting. So, like, each angel represents a different psychological challenge he has to overcome.
Exactly. And the other characters could have roles to play in this metaphor, too.
Okay, give me an example.
Well, Misato, for example, could be seen as a kind of therapist figure.
Right, she's always trying to guide Shinji and help him understand himself.
Right. And Rei, with her enigmatic nature, could represent Shinji's repressed emotions.
Oh, I see. And what about Gendo?
Ah, gender vla. He's a whole other layer of this metaphor.
Yeah, the emotionally distant father.
He could be seen as the source of Shinji's trauma, the root of his psychological issues.
Wow, that's actually pretty brilliant. It adds a whole new level of depth to the show.
Right. It's like we're watching Shinji go through therapy in real time, but with giant robots and existential threats thrown in.
And it makes you wonder, how much of this was intentional on the part of the creators?
It's hard to say for sure, but whether it was deliberate or not, it's a fascinating interpretation.
Yeah, and it just goes to show how open to interpretation Evangelion is.
Right. It's a show that sparks so many different readings and theories.
And we've just scratched the surface here with these fan theories.
There's so much to unpack. It's a bottomless well of symbolism and metaphor.
And that's what makes it so compelling, even all these years later.
Absolutely. It's a show that stays with you, that keeps you thinking long after you finished watching it.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling like my brain has just been through a ringer.
I know what you mean. It's a lot to process, but it's so rewarding.
Absolutely. We've gone from giant robots fighting angels to deep dives into psychology, philosophy, and even the nature of reality itself.
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah, and we've done it all through the lens of satire.
Which is really the key to unlocking so much of Evangelion's brilliance.
I totally agree. So, to our listeners out there, if you haven't experienced the wild ride that is Neon Genesis Evangelion, I highly recommend you check it out.
It's definitely a must-watch for any anime fan.
Just be prepared for a show that will challenge you, make you think, and maybe even make you a little uncomfortable.
And if you're looking for a show that's not afraid to poke fun at everything, well, Evangelion is definitely for you.
Until next time, deep divers, keep exploring and keep questioning everything.